Welcome to Whiskey's the Journey. My name's Peter Faciano, and today is Monday. I'm kicking off a new, not necessarily series on Monday, but I'm changing up on how I'm doing things on my Monday episodes. I'm just going to randomly review some whiskeys. That way I'm not tied into a 10-week episode of just single malts or just Irish. And then in the case of special releases, allocated bottles, things that people are interested in, if I have those newer bottles, I can also jump in and do reviews of those without being saddled with a 10-week series. So today we're taking a look at a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. This individual single barrel is coming in at 130.2 proof. The bottling date on this one is 9/14/23. The single barrel proofs don't have an age statement, but I think they have to be at least 4 years of age, but maybe somewhere between 4 and 10. If you know any different, let me know in the comments down below. It's a Jack Daniel's mash bill of 70% rye, 18% corn, and then 12% malted barley. 750 milliliter bottle, and I paid $74.99. And I'm also in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. So just like always, let's pour it, nose it, taste it, talk a little bit about the rye series, and then add some water, see if it changes anything, and then give this thing a score at the end. So this is pretty dark, and if you've been around this channel for quite a while, you know I'm not the biggest rye fan, and I've had this quite a few times, and it doesn't really necessarily fit the typical rye flavors that I get in other ryes. I can smell maple right off the bat. There's a tremendous amount of sweetness, and even without putting it up to my nose, the ABV is pretty high. And as I'm bringing it up to my nose, I get a big blast of like maple sugar, good amounts of vanilla, and then you also have, I wouldn't say over the top amounts of pine, but it does smell like you're walking into a pine forest. It's much sweeter than I was expecting. When I think ryes, I think dill, pine, and menthol, and not a whole lot of sweetness. Now, I understand there are sweet ryes out there, but in my experience, they come across as more herbal and dill than anything else. And this is not that, at least to me. You know, it smells like a sweet, syrupy breakfast. It's very pleasant on the nose, and I can already kind of, my mouth, just like always, it salivates in preparation for tasting this because I have an idea of what I'm in store for. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate and tell you what I think. Now, even though it's 130.2 proof, it doesn't necessarily taste that way. I think it hits your palate pretty soft. I don't feel the heat until it drops down into my chest. I'm not getting that typical ABV burn in the mouth that's just lighting everything up. I'm being presented with a sweet maple sugar, high concentration of vanilla with a little touch of pine. Bitterness starts to rise up on the side of the tongue. And then once it hits the back of the throat and starts going into the chest, that's when I start to feel the radiating ABV. Now that was the first sip, so let me see if I can get that second sip down, concentrate on any other notes, see if it develops into anything, add some water to it, and then talk a little bit about Jack Daniel's rye. Here we go, second sip. Second sip, a lot like the first, I'm presented with a bunch of sweetness up front. We get more of a pine note on that second sip than I did on the first one. I still can't get over how sweet this is. It's all maple, it's all sugar, and that high concentration of vanilla is there. I do like the barrel char that I get, and I have noticed in the past that Jack Daniel's has a banana note or maybe a banana vanilla maple note, and absent from this, for me, is the banana note. Maple, brown sugar, vanilla. I like this quite a bit. Let me go ahead and add some water to this, and I don't have water. Give me a second, I'll be right back. All right, so being at 130.2 proof, I think this can handle quite a bit of water. And as I was going out and grabbing my water and coming back, there was an herbal note that kind of took over the taste in my mouth. I don't think I'm much of an herbal note kind of person with my ryes. If I do get a rye, I think I prefer them to be a little bit more piney than herbal. So I'm going to be interested to see what the water does. Now, as far as the rye offerings from Jack Daniel's, and I want to kind of make sure that I'm getting this information correct, they released a special release rye in 2020 that was widely accepted as probably one of the best ryes that are out there. I never got a hold of one. I never tasted one. So if you have, let me know in the comments down below if you've had the special release 2020 version and one of their newer releases. How do they compare? Is one better than the other? Now, after that 2020 release, I think people were looking forward to Jack Daniel's having a continuous rye release. And lo and behold, we have one. This was very difficult at first to find on the shelves, but now I'm going into my Total Wines and going into other establishments. These are basically just sitting on the shelf, which is astonishing to me because the flavor that's coming out of this rye is spectacular. So to say that I'm happy is an understatement, knowing that this is now going to be a normal release, knowing that I'm not the biggest rye fan, and once I have one that I do like, I can latch onto it. And Jack Daniel's had other rye releases. Back in 2012, they released an unaged rye. 2014, they did a rested rye. I don't know what either of those are. I've never seen a bottle of them. I'm relying on everybody here in my community. If you've had these before, what did you think of them? Leave a comment down below so we can all figure it out. 2016, they did a lower proof version of their single barrels. I believe it does have a label on it that looks similar to this, but it's not the single barrel proof rye. They released a Tennessee rye, and then also, I believe recently, a bonded rye. The only Jack Daniels that I'm familiar with are the actual, the old number 7, the original, the single barrel proofs, now the single barrel proofs rye. I don't think I have any other Jack Daniel offerings in my collection. Maybe I should change that. If you guys are up for a Jack Daniel's First Friday Flight, let me know if that's something that you guys would want to see in the comments down below. Well, I'm asking you guys to do a whole bunch in the comments today. All right, so now that the water has done its thing, let's see if this 130.2 proof whiskey actually stands up. Still a tremendous amount of sweetness, low on the pine and low on the herbal notes. Vanilla is still holding up strong. ABV is still stinging my nose. Brown sugar and vanilla. If I can pinpoint a texture to a nose, I would say this is creamy. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the palate and see what the water's done to it. Brought out a little bit of spice. Now the proof has seemed to blossom. So now I'm feeling a little bit more heat in my mouth rather than in the chest. But I gotta tell you, those vanilla, brown sugar, and caramel notes, along with the maple syrup, is the star of the show. I'm telling you, I like this quite a bit. So I don't think there is any reason to go on any further with the notes. If you are new to this channel, I rate everything out of 5 stars because of everything that I had just mentioned, being a rye and being probably my favorite rye that I have in my collection. All of those sweet notes, along with the brown sugar and the caramel, vanilla maple, having a tremendous mouthfeel. It just sticks into every crack and crevice in your mouth. Even after a couple of sips, I'm still salivating, wanting to get a little bit more. I'm gonna put this up there at 4.5 stars. I don't have a whole lot of 4.5 star ratings out there, but to me, not liking rye and tasting this, it has changed my idea of what a rye can be. How about you? Have you had the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof ryes? I know they are single barrels and there are variations within the single barrels. This, to me, is a good one. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've had a good one, if you've had a bad one, what are the price ranges in your area? Are you seeing them? Are you not seeing them? That's all I have for you today. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Turn on that bell notification because I go live with videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye. 4.5. You have an opportunity to grab one of these, get one.